Hello, everyone. It's Cocktail Hour, episode 98. I'm Andy.
And I'm Rev.
And we are just pleased and happy and proud to present, you wanted her, you know you did, you got her, Fletcher DeLancey.
Here she is, gin and tonic in hand.
Oh. But she's got the baby version.
That's right.
No. This is not the baby. This is a very...
It's the baby version.
It's got big circumference. It's bigger than yours.
That's what she said.
Circumference matters.
Yeah, that's okay, Sherry. We've got a few announcements before we put Fletcher on the hot seat.
We do.
Okay.
Okay. So we're all discombobulated early in this show, so it's a sign of things to come, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to discuss the giveaway from the last episode that we did with the lovely Colette Moody, where we talked about the girl on the train, which was very good. We all enjoyed it. More despicable people doing despicable things, and murder and mayhem.
It was a really good show.
It's what you come to expect, So we were giving away some cocktail hour merchandise. A coffee mug, a pint glass, or a keychain, and the winner is Canuck A. So one of our lovely Canadian listeners and viewers. So I will be in touch so you can make your choice of what you want, and then I will get that to you.
Fantastic.
And if you don't hear from me in 2 weeks, you know the deal.
Yep.
I know you roll your eyes at that, but I had our lovely listener Lisa contact me last week or 2 weeks ago because I forgot something. So, it happens. I forget.
It does happen.
Okay, now speaking of giveaways, stay tuned because we have some giveaways to do during the live show also, and then we'll have some stuff for later for folks who can't make it live that want to get in on the deal. For those of you who are watching, we do have some viewers right now. If you click on the Q&A button on the top right on your screen, you can post questions and comments for Fletcher or for us or for whatever you want to do. It's fine. Do what you want. I'm done now. Thank you.
Wow. Woohoo! Well, everybody I think knows why Fletcher's here. Even Fletcher knows why she's here. That's good. I don't want to really ruin the name of that spacecraft, which is also the name of the book. Because you know where my mind's going, so I'm not going to do it. Okay,
it's kind of a workout test, actually.
All right, how do you pronounce the name of the ship?
Okay, well, there's actually 2 ways to pronounce it. It depends on if you're an American reader or a European reader.
Okay.
And I've been trained by my wife, who is, of course, native Portuguese. The way she pronounces it is Caphenon. And the average American reader, like me, is going to say the Caphenon.
So either is correct?
Either is correct, yes. You can do it anyway.
But the Caphenon is more correct. I mean.
The American way is more correct.
It's our show. It's more correct.
I love that. Okay. All right, so this is the very first book that you rolled out today, in fact.
Yep, today was a big drop.
It's the first in the Alcea series, is that correct?
First in the Chronicles of Alcea.
Excuse me, the Chronicles of Alcea.
No,
but I pronounced Alcea right, so I'm really happy about that. It's a crap that I'm drinking again, so I'll be slurring by the end of the show. Fantastic. All right, so Sherry, did you want to jump in, or do we want Fletcher to go ahead and kind of give us a little summary of the book?
Yeah, Fletcher, don't give away too much,
yeah,
and keep it brief. You're very verbose, so a brief summary. We only have an hour, all right?
Brief summary. Okay, let's see. Alien ship lands, kaboom, kaboom, people, romance, battle, departure. How's that?
Holy shit, snacky crackers. That was brief. What was that, all maybe 7 words? Holy crap.
But it really summed it up. That was a good summary.
Kind of makes me think about, who is it, the guy who plays Tyrion on Game of Thrones. He described the show as sexy, 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 stabby, 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 Sexy, stabby, 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 beautiful language. Stabby, 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 stabby.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
And that also really does sum it up. Yes, that is it. Oh man, I can't wait for that to start up again next month.
Yeah, right. I am.
But we're not here to talk about TV yet.
Okay, so should I be a little more serious and give a better synopsis?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So actually, let me just start by saying how I came about the idea of writing this book, and it will make a little bit more sense. So most of us know that I got my start writing Voyager fan fiction. And I have a 5-book series of Voyager novels out there. And anyone who watches Star Trek knows that all the Star Trek shows have the Prime Directive, which is their primary rule of first contact, meaning if the aliens don't have faster-than-light technology, you make no contact and you fly on by. And I always thought that was a stupid idea. Because, for one thing, it's fine if you have this one culture that's very well-developed and ethical, and we'll just leave these folks alone. But you know that not all cultures are going to be like that, and there will be other aliens out there who are going to say, hey, check out this world with these backwards aliens and all these great, valuable resources we can just strip away without resistance. So you have a world that has no protection because it's being left alone by the so-called good guys and is up for being exploited. And you also have a world that has no way of advancing. So the worlds that are already out there, already advanced, they're trading back and forth, they're trading technology, they're leaping ahead further and further, and the ones that weren't contacted, they just get farther and farther behind and they'll never catch up. And so you end up with this 2-speed galaxy. So I thought, okay, so how about we take a look at that rule from the other side, from the aliens who are supposedly being left out of contact because they aren't quite advanced enough. And so that's how it starts, is that we have a ship that was not supposed to make contact with the planet of Alcee, that was just researching them quietly, anonymously, but then there was a threat to the planet, and a very ethical captain rescued the planet from that threat, but lost her ship in the process and crashed on the planet. So now we have a forced first contact situation, and all sorts of politics and intrigue result from that, as well as cultural clashing and a lot of getting to know you kind of, how do I say that? Lost my train there. Cultural exposition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it starts out.
Very nice.
That's pretty much the first chapter.
Yeah, but the first chapter is much more exciting.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But it is actually. Yeah, it really is. When you start reading that, you can't put that book down.
Good. That's the intent.
Seriously. Yeah. Now, I quickly want to address the folks that are watching and then subsequently listening. That you don't have to be a sci-fi fan to enjoy this book. It's not required, because it's really deep down at its core. It's just about people and how they discover each other, and just stories about human nature too. So I mean, you don't be put off by the fact that it's got the sci-fi element to it. It's really, really a good book. It's a really good read.
Thank you for pointing that out, because actually I think that good science fiction is about the people. That's the core of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't read. That's not something that I normally read, but I had the opportunity to read yours, and Andy had forced me to read one of the Past Imperfect, I think it's called, right? So. So Andy forced me to read that, and I didn't want to, and I was actually kind of pissed off that I was going to have to read it because I don't like sci-fi, or I don't think that I like sci-fi, but I did really enjoy that story. So when I had the opportunity to read the Caphenon, I was excited about it, but I still didn't expect to be drawn in as much or really connect with the characters as much. The one thing I really want to say, and I know that you'll want to talk more about this, is your world building. The shit you come up with is just, I can't even imagine, you know, the hours and hours and hours you must have just sat and, you know, just thought about. I mean, not just the geography or, you know, the customs, which are really interesting in itself, but I mean, you developed an entire time system that's different from what we on Earth use, you know. I mean, and it's just, I mean, how long? Just talk about that.
Okay, well, you're right. It's hours and hours. I mean, this book was bubbling in my brain for at least a year before I sat down and really started writing it, because I needed a framework in place before I began. I needed the cultures in place, and I couldn't quite get a grasp on that. And I would go for walks in the hills behind our flat here and think about it on bike rides and just go back and forth. And I finally snapped into place the cultural aspects of the Gaians, the humanoid aliens, and the Alcyans, and the idea of two different religious systems in the larger galaxy. That started to make sense to me, and that's when it all began to coalesce into a story that I could tell. The time system haunted me because I didn't have it in place totally when I was writing the story, and so I think I was like 3/4 of the way through it and still having trouble figuring out who was doing what time of the day, until I went to Scotland for vacation. Basically, my wife said, "You are not taking your laptop. You are not writing. We are going on vacation. I would like you to pay some attention to me." Hello, we're married. And so off we went to Scotland. Of course, my brain's still whirling away. And my wife, and it was two couples who went, are very good friends from Oregon. And my wife and one of the other couple, they both love whiskey. And so we went on a tour of a whiskey distillery, and it turned out to be quite expensive. So Karen, the non-whiskey drinking person, Karen and I said, okay, we'll stay here in the gift room here. You two go on the tour and have your whiskey samples and have a great time, and we'll just stay here. And so Karen and I sat there in that area and bought whiskey-filled chocolates, which, by the way, are really, really good. And so we just sat there in this gift shop eating whiskey-filled chocolates and brainstorming on the Alcyon time system, and that's when it finally got locked into place, was at a distillery in Scotland.
I have to ask, what made you even consider doing an alternate time system? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it definitely adds to the world building, to the to the fullness of it, right? But I mean, I don't think that's something that I don't want to say normal people, because that's kind of rude, but but what made you even think about doing something like that? I mean, I'm going to give them a new time system.
Yeah, I'm kind of an astronomy buff, and well, I'm a science geek, and I know that there are very few planets that would have the same time system we do, because they don't have the same day length, and they don't have the same orbital distance, and so it would be vanishingly bizarre to have a sister planet with the exact same time system that we do. So I had to create something different, and I wanted to make it just a little bit different so that it was a little alien, but not so out there that you couldn't really grasp it. I don't want people to have to think too hard. I want them to think a little bit, just feel the foreignness of it, but not be lost in something that's just completely out there.
It was pretty easy to get a hang of what was going on and the differences there, and the way that you. One of the things that's so good about your writing, in my opinion, is that there's so much information about this world and about the different culture and everything that you need to get out for the reader to really get immersed in this. And you do it in such a way that the reader isn't really even aware that they're absorbing all of this information. It's like a lot of times you get those big info dumps and like, oh, this is this and this is this, and you got to remember all this shit. Your stuff, it just, it's all part of, it all flows so well within the storytelling that you end up learning so much about this world, and you don't even realize you're doing it. I mean, I got hand ticks in my head,
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because that was a very conscious effort on my part. Because you're right, it's a big problem with a lot of science fiction, is the so-called info dump. And because when you're making a brand new world, that you have to explain everything. I mean, that's the great shortcut of writing regular fiction, is that everyone knows the world that you're writing about. So you don't have to explain what a cell phone is. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to explain what time lunch is or what lunch is. It's just a common knowledge. So when you're world building, you have to explain everything. And to do that in such a way that the reader doesn't feel like they're in front of a chalkboard being given a lesson, it takes some doing. There are quite a few things that I rewrote and deleted whole paragraphs, because I thought, okay, this is way too much. You need to pare this down to the bare minimum here. Like the scene in, and I don't think I'm going to give anything away here. Okay, there's a scene in a healing center where the captain of the ship that crashed and the leader of Alcee are talking about their two cultures. And that is the chapter, I think, where the most information is handed down about how these two cultures operate. And that one was a bear to write, because there's so much information being shared in there, and it got to be an info dump. So I pared it down quite a lot before I let that one go.
Well, you did a really good job. There's, I want to talk about one scene so that we can pick on Andy. So there's this one scene in the book that is this glorious, this huge, wonderful funeral ritual with this, with the big pomp and ceremony. And Fletcher, do you want to you lay out the scene, and then I will pick up a bit.
Okay, well, again, since this happens in the first couple of chapters in the book, it's not going to be a spoiler to say that not everyone on the ship survives the crash. So there is a very formal state memorial for the aliens who die in that crash, as well as a few others as well. And again, it's a huge piece of world building, because it's showing this look on Andy's face. It is showing how the Alceans mourn their dead and how they honor their warriors and some of their belief system, and the fact that they don't bury their dead, they burn them on pyres. And there's a lot going on there. And Andy, being the impatient little so-and-so that she is, she didn't even finish reading that chapter.
Meanwhile, I'm reading it, making notes, sobbing, just tears flowing. Fletcher has this. Huh?
I made it about a page and a half into that scene, and I went, "Oh no!" And I started flipping. I'm like,
"Oh my God!"
Story. I got to get back to the story. I don't want to give a shit.
Oh my God!
I can't believe you.
I know.
Yeah, I'm reading it, and I can, you've got this, Fletcher has this, big choral thing going on, and this big soloist singing, and like I told Fletcher, I don't know if it's because I'm former military or what, but any type of, big military type ceremonies and choral music, good Lord, I cry constantly whenever, just hearing a commercial on TV that has moving music in it. So, I'm just sobbing and making all these notes and letting Fletcher know, oh my God, this moved me so much. And, a couple weeks later, it must have been, I don't know, maybe a month later, so I get an email from Fletcher. Andy told me she just skipped right through that damn scene.
I didn't know you were going to tell. What the hell?
Of course I'm going to tell. I was appalled.
What I say to you.
She just told me. I mean, it's just me. We're in the ass club, Come on.
The ass club. Okay, so, yes. So everybody now knows that I flipped right through that whole, that whole thing. But back to what something Fletcher said. What?
You can go back and read it now.
Yeah.
Catch it.
She won't. It'll be too boring.
Alsea. You pronounce it Alcea?
Alcea.
What? I've been pronouncing it Alcea in my head the entire time. We had to throw an A on there. What the hell?
But you can do that if you want to. But
Okay, so,
I'm not changing it.
Wait. So you've been doing the same thing, Sherry?
Yeah, I'm not changing it. It's up to me. It's my head.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. You can say it in your creating in any way you want to, but it is actually an existing place. That's one of the few names that I stole from the real world.
Okay.
Alcea is a river and a bay very near where I spent most of my life, my adult life, that is, in Oregon.
Oh.
It's a beautiful bay and a beautiful river, and when I was thinking about a name for a beautiful planet, that just popped in my head, so that's what I said.
I'd like to break in for just a second, please. Excuse me. So we have quite a few viewers. Don't be shy. Come on in. Ask some questions. Make some comments. We will be giving away one of the ebooks very soon. Once we get some comments, bring them on. Because right now I've got comments and questions from Elena and Nancy Jean, who emailed them to me previously, and they can't win. So there's that. Well, they've already read the ebook, so. And so they'll have to enter for other stuff later. Okay, so you ready for a couple questions?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what does Chanel? Is it Chanel? How do you pronounce the drink?
Channel.
Chanel. Okay. What does Chanel mostly taste like? Tea, cocoa, or coffee?
I think it would be kind of like coffee with a dash of whiskey in it.
Okay. All right. Oh, and then here's this. These are Elena's. Borg versus Voloff. Who wins? And then in parentheses, she says Nancy stole that one from me.
I think actually the Borg would take the Voloff. If we're talking a Borg cube, the whole gigantic cube, they would probably take a Voloff ship. Yeah. But if we're talking Borg individuals and Voloff individuals, then it might be a different story.
For folks who are just watching, the Voloff are the bad guys in the Caphenon. So there you go. And they are badass. They're bad. When I say bad, they are bad. You don't want to mess with them. Okay. Let's see. What makes character names starting with L and including N's and I's and Y's so attractive to you? It's confusing.
It's confusing. It's interesting that someone picked up on that, because a lot of the names start or end in L and N and Y. Because I have to think of names that aren't earthy, Although, as Peyton or Andy pointed out, there was one Italian one that got in there by accident. But I need to think of names that don't automatically make someone think that they came from Chicago. We're talking about two alien cultures here, so they can't be too familiar.
I don't know. One of the characters has my kid's name, so.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. How can I imagine? Oh. Okay. Let's see. How can I imagine Lancer Tall looking? Mostly human with a few ridges here and there, 5 fingers or more.
Why did my mind go in a crazy direction with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave some thought to that too, because when you start doing science fiction, you can create anything you want to. I mean, you can make tentacle sex if you want to. And
online porn, haven't you?
That is a genre, believe it or not. There is a whole genre of tentacle sex.
There is.
What?
Mm-hmm.
No. Hold on. I need to
looking for him. I found.
Sherry has to take a drink now.
Yeah, no shit.
Anyway, so you can go anywhere you want to, but I wanted them to be mostly human, because they are. In the universe that I created, and I really thought about how do I end up with humanoid species on all these different planets? How does that happen? They all have the same DNA base, so it can't be too far from human. So you can imagine Lancer Tall as looking very much human, except for those ridges on the forehead and the cheekbones.
And she's super hot, also. She's super hot. that picture that you shared. Yeah.
Oh yes, and very competent, which is hot all by itself.
Nerd. Okay, so
sexy, you know it. Come on.
Did you
listen, wait? Before you keep going, I got a question.
What?
Fletcher.
Yes.
How do you pronounce Tyree? Was it Tyrees?
Tyree. Tyree or Tyrese.
Okay, thank Christ, because that's how I was hearing it in my head. But
you got one right.
Yeah, well, I got that one right. Woohoo!
She's on a mission.
I know, right? I'm excited. All right, Socia, what you got next?
Okay, I got one more from Elena, and then we can move on to Nancy Jean. What do you call Lancer in your head? Lancer or Tall?
Tall.
Or do you call her Tal? Tall.
It's Tall. Yeah. that one I'm sure of. You cannot call her Tal. That's just no.
Okay. Sorry, Andy. Oh, look at that face. Okay, now let's do a little intermission between questions to talk about Jen.
What? I didn't bring my Jen out of the kitchen. What are you doing?
Oh,
Fletcher Fletcher, you got the bulldog, or what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Tanqueray Rangpur.
All right.
TJ went to the store right before we started recording, and they didn't have any Henriks, so she stood there and read out all of the labels for me. And this one, is this new, Fletcher? This Sapphire East? Is that a new thing?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but Bombay Sapphire is a really nice, very pure tasting gin. I haven't heard it though.
Yeah, it's got, here, I'll just say, it says, Bombay Sapphire East is crafted and infused with 2 additional botanicals, fragrant Thai lemongrass for crispness, and a subtle bite from Vietnamese black peppercorns.
My goodness, wow, this is exotic.
I'm feeling pretty special.
And how is it?
It's good. It's very nice. I mean, it's...
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Bombay Sapphire.
And it's alcohol. How could you go wrong?
You can.
But I do like the bulldog. I do like the bulldog. That was a really good recommendation, Fletcher.
Very good. So are you having it with apple?
No. I really, really like gin and tonics with lime.
Okay.
Yeah, so the lime won out.
That's what I have also, lime.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to bring the bottle in here. I would have, but my wife does not like the straight up Tanqueray. That's just not. She doesn't like the taste of it. I mean, she much prefers the Bombay Sapphire. But we discovered Tanqueray Rangpur because all of a sudden, I don't know what happened here, but suddenly all the stores in Portugal began carrying all kinds of gins. Apparently, gin and tonic is the fad drink of Portugal at the moment, whereas before we would go in and we would find like 3 brands on the shelf. Now we go in and there's a whole shelf just for gin, and there are gins we never heard of. I'm like, wow, this is great. So, and one of the new ones was this new variety of Tanqueray called Rangpur. So we tried it, and it's really, really good. So it's converted my wife.
Nice.
All right then. Well, there you go. So we're all drinking gin.
You got some more Nancy Jean comments? Because she filled up a Facebook page with that.
I know, and I just, there was no way I was going to go back and try and find all of them. So
why didn't you tell me? I could have queued it up.
Oh, no. I asked her to send her an email, and so she did. So now I have them all right here.
Okay, yay.
Right there. Okay. Why'd you have to make Lancer Tall so hot?
Yeah, guys, it's a serious question. Well, if you think about the text itself, I never said Lancer Tall was hot.
No, you did not.
Now, however, there is a scene, let's see, where one character says, wow, that good looking and a pilot too. So we know she's at least good looking.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I can answer the Lancer Tall question, as I know that Nancy Jean also asked about Katya and Lynn. And I can answer them all the same way, which is I like, for my writing, to give character descriptions that leave things up to interpretation. I mean, I give you the basic outline, but I'm not going to describe everything because I think people like to fill in the blanks themselves because we all have our own tastes and we all have things that punch our buttons and things that don't. So we like to imagine heroes and heroines that really appeal to us. So I kind of leave it a little bit open. So the fact that Nancy Jean thinks that they're all hot means that this worked.
Yeah, no lie.
Okay, well then here's
her characterization of Lynn as nerdy hot.
nerdy hot. Yes.
That was a great phrase. I'm keeping that one.
Yeah, she was nerdy hot, actually.
Mm-hmm. I liked her. She was. I like her a lot because she just didn't give a shit. You know, she was going to get what she was going to get. She was going to do what she was going to do, and I don't care who you are. That's what I'm going to do. And
Mm-hmm.
she was not only nerdy hot. She was also totally badass.
She really is, and in a very geeky sort of way.
Yes. Yes.
Now the other from the other
sort of learning something of filling in her blanks.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Okay.
talk about the other stuff in the other
I'm
series.
just saying the other Lynn is more badass. That's all I'm going to say. That's it.
Who's more badass?
Other Lynn is much more badass.
Oh, well, yeah. They're not
Yeah.
the same.
We're moving on.
All
Oh,
right.
and I really like the way you built the how do I say this? The anatomical characteristics of the Alceans. I like that. I thought that was awesome. Awesome.
Are you talking about the reproductive characteristics?
Yeah, kind of like they can, they can share the load, if you will. I thought that was really cool. That was really cool.
That's one of those things where I really had to think about it. Like, go for a walk in the hills and think, okay, exactly how would this work? How can I make believable biology here and make it work that you have a species that could temporarily change sex, where either the males or the females can bear children, carry the children, and nurse the children. And so, yeah, it took some time to figure out a somewhat realistic biological way of that happening. I had a lot of fun writing up that conversation. That's a good example of exposition that doesn't look like exposition. That just cracks you up instead.
Okay. Oh, here we go. So let's see. Elena already asked that one. What is your spouse Maria's cast?
Oh, totally scholar, without a question.
You want to talk for a few minutes about the caste system?
Sure. Okay. So on LC, there are 6 castes, and they are scholar, warrior, merchant, producer, which would be the farmers and the fishermen, the farmers, crafters, who are the artists, and I'm missing one. What am I missing? Oh, builders, the ones who create the infrastructure and include all the trades, basically. And so, in theory, all the castes are equal. In practice, not so much, because the scholars and the warriors are ascendant, and they're the only ones that can have high empaths.
That's something that we haven't talked about at all.
The empath?
Yes, and that's really a key element to a lot of the story, especially with a lot of the cultural things. Do you want to speak about that a bit?
Well, sure. So the Alceans are a bit unusual in terms of a human race, a human species, in that they are empathic, and by that I mean they can sense the emotions of others, but they're not all equally empathic. There's varying levels and rankings. So you can be a low empath, which means you can't feel very much. You mostly would feel only your own family, your blood kin. And there is the mid-empath range, which is the vast majority. And then there are the high empaths, who are much more unusual. And high empaths are the ones who can sense the emotions of anyone who's of a lower ranking than them, and usually at a distance. They don't need physical touch to act as a conduit. They can sense it in some cases for, like, say 3 kilometers away, 3 miles away. And so if you have an entire species that can see into each other's emotions, then the culture cannot be the same as most of what we're used to. There have to be some differences. There have to be different ideas of privacy and different laws and rules that govern that. And that's one of the issues that comes between the aliens who crash on the planet and the Alcyons. Is the aliens are not empathic. They're like us, and the Alcyons consider them blind because they can't sense emotions. They're missing a huge, very important sense. And they think they're a bit like children because not only are they blind to emotions, but they can't block their own emotions from going out. So they're just broadcasting everything they feel, just like little kids tell you everything they're feeling when they feel it, with no filters.
That was really interesting. The way you make that comparison, and it really, I mean, that's how they were viewed. It was very interesting. And I know you brought up Tyree. Do you want to, because that's kind of all linked in. Do you want to mention that or no?
That's one of those things that's kind of for the reader to discover as the story goes on. So I want to leave that one to sit.
Okay. So right now this is planned for a trilogy, right? And the next two are coming out in November and then December, right?
Actually, it's going to be more than a trilogy.
Okay, well, that was the question. Okay. Any plans for more novels beyond the trilogy in this universe?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, heck, I spent a year thinking up this universe. I'm not going to waste it. Right. So, yeah, the next two that come out are Without a Front, basically. Because Without a Front, which I wrote originally as an online novel, well, it's gigantic. I mean, it's a huge novel. And when we started thinking about it for publication, there's no way that could fit in an actual paperback book. It would put one of George R.R. Martin's books to shame for sheer thickness. And besides that, it really is two different novels because the whole first half of Without a Front is really a romance, and the second half of it is action and political intrigue. So I figured out a dividing line, which everyone's going to hate because it ends on a cliffhanger.
But there's only a month. There's only a month gap.
Yeah,
right?
6 weeks, 2 books coming out. So Without a Front, one is called The Producer's Challenge and takes place mostly in one place in the countryside. And Without a Front 2 is called The Warrior's Challenge. Takes place back in Black Sun, which is the capital city. And we'll have the political intrigue and the interesting action and battles and whatnot. So those are coming out in October and November of this year.
Oh, I thought it was later than that. Okay, good.
Yeah, don't have long to wait. And then after that, the next book in the series, I'm thinking, I'm just starting to plot it out now, but I'm thinking it's going to be about our heroines from the Caphenon, Ikatia, Captain Serrato, and Dr. Lynn Rivers, and what happens to them after their adventure on Alcy. So that will give me a chance to explore the Protectorate and a whole other culture. So, world building.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Okay, and then let's see. There's a couple more questions from Nancy Jean, and our incredibly bashful viewers have not tuned in yet, but have not left any comments yet. But that's fine. You don't have to.
No, we're already answering them all. Maybe
I know. That's true. And I think part of the issue, too, is that no one's read this because it just came out today.
Yes. Actually, before you ask that question, I have to tell you, yes, it was just released today. I mean, it's such a cool feeling to know that there have been people all over the world waiting for their Kindles or their Kobos to go ping and have a book download. I mean, there are people who are reading this 15 minutes after midnight because the book arrived on their device, and there they were reading, and that is just awesome. And before I came on the show, I checked Amazon, the rankings, and this book is already number 3 in LGBT science fiction.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Really awesome because it's, I mean, like you say, it's the first day. It hasn't had time to make an impact yet. There are no reviews on it because no one's finished it yet.
That's not true. I just want to point out that C-Spot Reviews
yes,
they posted a review this morning. Oh, on Amazon. Okay, that's fine.
There's no Amazon reviews yet, and yet it's already number 3, and that's really a big deal because in the LGBT science fiction ranking, it's not lesbian science fiction. It's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and there is a ton of gay science fiction out there. A ton.
I have no idea.
Much more than there is lesbian science fiction. So the fact that it's ranked that highly in that big genre is really cool. We're pretty excited about that.
One thing I want to say is that I've been recommending the book not to a lot of my friends that are into science fiction who are not gay. It's very. I think that this would be a great mainstream novel. I mean, folks anybody who enjoys a good science fiction read would enjoy this book. I think the themes in it are very universal. That kind of leads into one of the questions that Nancy Jean had. No sexy times in the Caphenon. And she says, in parentheses, and they weren't needed in my opinion, but will sexy times return in the next two book? Neck ridges, yay. Nibble, nibble, bite, blush.
Okay, so there are no neck ridges in Without a Front 1, but they definitely make an appearance in Without a Front 2. So there will be, for sure, sexy times in the third book in the series. Big time, sexy times. The second book in the series, Without a Front 1, is just going to torment you with the sexual tension. You won't get to resolve it until the third book in the novel. But yes, you're right. It really is, the Caphenon is really a mainstream science fiction novel that happens to have a bunch of really powerful women taking all the lead roles. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we are going to market it for the mainstream, but right now we're targeting our genre. And we'll let it go there for a while and then move it out to the mainstream and see what happens.
Excuse me, my dogs are going.
They always do that.
I know, I'm really sorry, but...
I would kind of feel sad if I didn't hear a little barking here and there.
Oh, not only are my dogs going crazy out here, but next door they have got a couple of mastiffs.
I don't want to hear them.
Yeah, well, you can kind of hear them a little bit, maybe, but okay.
So any of our shy watchers come up with anything yet?
No.
What in the hell are y'all waiting for?
No, I think the sci-fi folks, right? They're kind of shy and bashful. Is that right?
I don't know, but they could say hello. Just type hello.
There's no pressure here, people. If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to, because Nancy, Jean, and Elena have asked all the questions.
Yeah, they did. They had a bunch.
Oh my God.
So,
okay, can I jump in? Are we done with Nancy Jean's questions?
No.
You gotta listen as long as you're.
There's just one more. There's just one more. Can my cats, Patsy and Hunter, be in a cast?
Oh, yeah. Pets. Yeah, I think pets could be in a cast.
Which cast would they be in?
Well, every pet has its own personality, so the owner will have to decide that for herself.
All right. Nancy Jean, we expect a follow-up from you.
Yes. Yeah, I love that political answer. That's great. You're running for office soon, Fletcher?
Tell us which casts your cats belong in. I can't.
You know what? There you go. There you go. There you go. We need a question for the giveaways. So it can be, let us know what cast you or your pets would belong to.
Yeah, I like it.
I gotta write that down. So talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Okay. Well, I was going to tell you a little anecdote about the cover art.
Oh, here. Before you do that, I'm gonna do a screen share. Hold on, because I think I can do this without.
It's not going to help.
Messing everything up. What?
It's
not going to what?
Later. Those listening later that don't watching the video.
Oh shit! It's really small. Hold on. Oh, forget it. Go to the damn website. Oh wait, hold on. Woohoo!
All right, Fletcher. Cover art.
Okay, but we have a question now. We asked. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. So Benny is here. Benny, thank you.
Thank you, Benny.
Benny, you win a copy of the book. I just decided.
Yay!
Okay. How would you market this book to a non-sci-fi reader to get them interested?
I would say that the book is really at its heart about people, about interpersonal relations. It's about being judgmental and learning the truth. It's about betrayal. It's about making a choice between ethics, between what you think you have to do and what you think you should do. It's really a very personal story wrapped up in political intrigue and battle scenes. But at its heart, it's a very personal story about 3 women.
Well, there you go. It was really good from a non-sci-fi kind of person. I loved it. It moved me very much. I kept telling Fletcher, I think I may be getting ready to start my period because everything is making me weep uncontrollably. And I actually promised, I made Fletcher promise that she wouldn't tell on me about exactly how many times I did break down and weep. But it also made me laugh a lot. You've got a lot of humor in there, which I didn't expect. There's a lot of, especially, well, no, I can't even say especially anybody, because most of the characters made me laugh out loud at least a few times.
Well, you know, as a writer, what I want to inspire in my readers is an emotional reaction, and ideally, those emotions include laughing and crying. And if I'm feeling, I feel really great when someone writes and tells me, I laughed, I cried, I didn't get any sleep. Those are like the 3 things that I want. I want you deprived.
Awesome.
Having a good laugh and a good cry.
Benny says sold, but you don't have to buy one, Benny. You're getting a copy. You're getting
All
a
right,
copy.
well done.
So, Benny, send me an email. You can send it to rev@cocktailhour.us, and I will forward that over to Astrid. I believe, is Astrid going to be handling the distribution of the ebooks?
She will.
We'll get you a copy. So just send me an email, and then I will forward that over. Okay, thank you, Benny. You are my favorite listener viewer today. Thank you. Okay, Fletcher, you want to talk about the cover?
I do. Okay, so on the website, and there is a website just for the series, and it's at www.chroniclesofalcy.com. On the homepage, there is this awesome image of the ship arriving in space, in orbit over the planet. And that picture is what the cover was going to be originally. So when we were first designing the cover, that's what our graphic artist came up with. And it was this really awesome, shiny, sleek, science fiction-y cover. And I said, wow, I mean, this looks great, except it's a little misleading because the ship crashes in the first chapter. So I'm not sure we should actually do this because it's not really indicative of what's inside the book. And then we commissioned a bit of concept art that we had planned to put inside the book. And so we had just a line drawing of the crash itself. And when we looked at that line drawing and put in a few more details, like the fact that there are 2 moons in the sky, which makes it a bit more alien, I said, you know what? And it was a hard decision because we already had this beautiful cover ready to go. And so I felt like I was costing my publisher a little bit of money here, but I said, you know, I prefer this other picture for the cover because it's what happens in the book and it's more representative. And fortunately, Astrid said, me too. So
she's easy.
I'm not going to tell her that. Anyways, yeah, we sprang for a whole second cover design process, and that's how we ended up with the cover that is there, which I really like a lot. I mean, I love the colors of it and then the action in it. But while we were designing this cover, Astrid's wife looked at it and said, hey, you know, you can't see any of the crash damage. I mean, the ship looks pristine. And if it's just crashed on the planet, shouldn't it be, you know, there should be holes in it and, you know, dirt and whatnot and scratches. And so we had a 3-way Skype with the artist screen sharing while he was making changes. And I said, okay, so we know this ship is 750 meters long. So for the American audience, imagine 7.5 football fields. That's how long this ship is. Okay, so we also know that in the battle before it crashed, it got a big gash in its side. So let's just say that this gash is 40 meters long, so a little less than half of one football field. So this is a sizable gash, right? So the artist went in, did some drawings, and figured out the exact size of the gash, and he drew it on the ship, and it was like a hyphen. you couldn't see a thing. And I thought, well, if you can't see a 40-meter or 40-yard gash in the ship, you're not going to see dirt or scratches or dings or any of that. You just can't see it because the ship is so big. So I thought, okay, we have to have some way of showing perspective to get an idea of how big the ship actually is. So I said, well, then, all right, so later in a few chapters in, there are people climbing out of the ship, so how about we have those people standing on the skirt of the ship? So we did. We drew in the people, and they looked like squashed bugs. It was terrible. No one would have known they were people. They looked like fly specks, like an error on the picture. So then we tried drawing an Alcyon transport, an airship that was there for the rescue operation, and that didn't work either. So we finally just gave up on all perspectives and said, okay, ship is just going to be the ship and the trench it dug and everything else. But so that's why the ship looks so pristine, because we did try to dirty it up, and it's so big you just can't see it.
Well, next time make a smaller ship. Or a bigger cover.
And there you go. Actually, I would love to have that.
There you go. See, what you could do, have you had any posters made yet?
We're thinking about doing a poster of all 6 of the cast shields.
No. You gotta have it. No, a big poster of the ship.
Yeah, right. That'd be a good one. You could.
You're just being diplomatic now, but that's okay. I appreciate it.
Sky's the limit.
So, here's a quick question, then I have one. When will the print version be available?
The print version should be available hopefully within a few days. We have one of those little moments where the proof that went to the publisher wasn't quite up to snuff, and so we had to send it back and say, make it better. And so that's the process it's in right now. Is Astrid, thankfully, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I know, it's shocking.
Did you just say the F word too? Holy!
No, I think she said shocking.
I was
It's shocking that I'm a perfectionist. Yeah, so Astrid knew that I would probably have a fit if the print cover or the print book arrived and it wasn't perfect. Working to make it that way, which is why the book is a little bit delayed right now in Amazon. So hopefully this week it will be available.
Okay, awesome. So have you? This is kind of a personal question, and you can say you don't want to answer it if you don't want to. That's fine.
Okay.
Have you considered getting a tattoo of one of the scholar shield?
I would say that if I were to get a tattoo, that's what I would get.
And where would you put it?
Oh, big question. Actually, I always kind of secretly wanted to have a tattoo right here on the back of the shoulder. So it just sort of peeked out from tank tops and short sleeve shirts and just sort of tantalized the viewer who would think, oh, if only I could see the rest of it.
Well, you'd have to get a really big shield for that then. But that would be a good spot for it. That would be good. I had another question, but now I can't remember what it was. So I wanted to ask. So, what made you decide? Because you've done online books. What made you decide to do it this way? To sign up with a publisher and do it this way? Yeah.
Well, I wanted to reach a larger audience, and there's only so far you can go with online fiction. I mean, there's people who are aware of it, and there are people who never heard of it and have no idea that there's this whole world out there with free things for you to read that sometimes are really, really good.
Sometimes.
And also, you know, fanfic, it has the reputation, which is not always deserved, as not being that good. I mean, people tend to think that fanfic is not as good as published work, and you know, we know that there is really good fanfic out there. It's better than a lot of published work, but again, you have to know where to look for it. So I wanted to reach a larger audience, and for me, it was a choice between publishing independently, so I could have control over the whole process, because you know I'm a perfectionist.
Control freak. Excuse me.
Or going with Ylva. Ylva was always my first choice as a publisher. And Astrid basically, well, she did a little bit of courtship to sort of talk me into it, and she made a compelling case. The reason I chose Ylva is because I looked over their stable of authors, and I recognized a lot of the names as being quality writers, and she puts out a quality product, and that's what I want. I want to be associated with a publisher who cares about the editing, who cares about the cover art, and who cares about all the pieces and parts that go into making a good quality book that you want to hang on to for a long time. And Astrid does that, and that's why I signed on with her. And I'm very glad I did, because she has lived up to her promises and then some. She's really gone above and beyond with me. So I'm very happy I made that choice.
Well, I am too, because I got to read it first.
I don't think I don't know who else is a perfectionist on this broadcast.
I know, Andy's horrible. Horrible. So
you tortured me for weeks without reading that story, and I'm just over here just wanting to claw my face and eyes out. I'm like, what? Seriously, really? I was all demonstrative. I'm like, God damn it. And every time I turn around, there's a post on Facebook. You even texted me to say, just, God damn it, you know? Come on now, that ain't right. So finally, when I got a copy of it, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe it.
But it was worth the wait, wasn't it?
You skipped over a whole chapter.
It was one of the best chapters in the whole book. Jesus.
I mean, even a page and a half, and I moved on.
You didn't even get to the holograms, and did you?
Don't care.
And she missed the whole Flight of Return.
I don't care about that either.
Oh my God! This big synchronized flying thing, and just so much history. And
I don't watch the Super Bowl halftime show. Just saying. I always go do something else and then come back for a Super Bowl halftime.
Oh, I don't watch that either, but that's totally different.
That's when I was reading. I started reading. I'm like, okay, okay. So I'm like, oh no, it's like Super Bowl halftime. Let me move on.
It was so good. It was so good. I cried so much.
I was going to bring that whole situation up for this show, just so everybody knows I did not bring it up. I didn't. I wasn't going to.
Didn't bring what up?
The whole thing, I just skipped over some pages.
Oh, no, I brought it up. I'm going to bust you every time you don't read what you're supposed to read. Because it's what I do.
Guess what? You ain't going to hear any more about what I skipped over.
Oh, yes, I will. You can't help yourself. Okay, so dear viewers and listeners, we're right about at an hour. But if you want to keep going, just post some questions while I'm going through this stuff here, and we'll keep Fletcher here until you're done. Okay, so we had a total of 3 ebooks to give away. Benny got 1, so there's still 2 left. There's an XL T-shirt, 2XL T-shirt, and a hat. And I'm saying the hat right now because Andy's been trying to steal that damn hat since we were told that we'd be giving it away.
Those tickets are refundable.
Oh, Andy's gonna come and see me for my birthday. Don't be.
I want that damn hat.
You'll get a hat. You'll get a hat with Fletcher sweat. She already promised.
Hat with Fletcher's sweat. I'm sorry, Fletcher. I'm sorry. I love your writing, but I don't want a hat with your sweat on it.
No worries. There's no sweat.
Okay, thank you.
So the T-shirts will have the cover art for the book on it. So make sure you if you go over to the Cocktail Hour website, cocktailhour.us, you can see the book cover there. And you can also click to go get download a sample of it. Once you start reading the sample, you'll be hooked. I guarantee it. So to win the other 2 ebooks and both T-shirts and the hat, just go over to the website and leave a comment letting us know what cast you or your pets would belong to. And then we will pick the winners. Well, actually, Fletcher, you can pick the winners if you want, because I know you like to be in control of things. Or I'll just pick the winners. It's either way. For our next show. Our next show is when, Andy?
Oh, now you need... What's wrong with you? It's April something. I don't know.
Well,
I can look it up. One moment, please.
That would be awesome.
Oh, my God, you're killing me.
Okay, so our next show is going to be, we're going to have Jesse Chandler on, who is also a very good author. We're going to be talking about April 4th.
Correct.
All right, I got to write that down. So you need to have your comments posted to our website no later than April 3rd. Okay, and then we'll pick the winners on the show April 4th, unless Fletcher and I hook up in the morning before we record, in which case she will pick the winners. And I'm sure that she'll have a very scientific method selected. Yeah, she's going to extrapolate the data and pick some winners there. So, well, I guess that's. Oh, let's see. Oh, we do have a comment, not here, but there, that says, "I'm sold to. Great interview. Good." And be sure and send me your email address so that we can get your prize from the last show. That was from Elaine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we've got loads of viewers. So if you guys want to say hi, you want to say anything else, now's the time. Yeah.
Okay, so while the viewers think about whether or not they want to say hi, I have one more little story to tell, if you don't mind.
Nice.
This is all about you, Fletcher.
All about you, Fletcher.
Well, actually, it's about how the art process can influence things. Okay, so we have this graphic artist who does the cover art for us and did the concept art. And as part of creating the cover for the novel, he created that banner across the top that says Chronicles of Alcyon, and it has the shield with a tree on it that is the actual Alcyon shield that I created in the story. And I described that to him, but I suck at describing things that I want to have drawn, because I describe in words. I don't describe in visual images, and so when you translate words to visual images, they don't always match up, right? So the graphic artist produced this shield, and it was freaking awesome. I mean, it was actually better than I had envisioned, because he put in this beautiful color gradation that went from the bottom to the top. So it's yellow at the bottom, and it shades toward orange at the top. And I looked at that shield, and I thought, wow, it looks like the tree is on fire. And that thought went bing in my brain, and so the whole myth that you read about in the scene where the anthropologist Lynn Rivers is speaking with the lead Templar of Black Sun, Lanaril, and Lanaril tells the story of the first Tyrees who touch a mullein tree that bursts into flame as a sign of a blessing from the goddess Fala. All of that came from me looking at that shield that our graphic artist drew and thinking, it looks like the tree is on fire. So
get the hell out of here.
There's a creation myth, basically, built into the story, built into the world building that came just from looking at the art that somebody else made for me.
Wow. I never, ever, ever would have guessed that wasn't something that had been in your head for a really long time. Because not only is the scene where that story is being told just fantastic, but it's referred to, later. That is really cool. So you had to write that. How far were you in the process of writing this when that happened?
I was well past that. I had to go back and put that scene in, and then put references to it throughout the rest of the story.
Wow.
So I had to weave it in to the existing narrative, but it really worked.
Yeah, it did. I never would have. Wow, that is. Wow. Very cool. You heard it here, people. You heard it here. Cocktail Hour exclusive.
There you go.
Wow, very cool. Well, we've had more viewers join in. I'm sorry that you guys missed the most of it. Elena, I hope you're out there watching and done with your gardening.
Well, I hope she's still awake.
And Nancy Jean put down that pie.
I think that pie's gone by now. Oh, we have a visitor. Now, what cast would this cat be in?
What cast would you be in? Good question. I think he's a crafter. He's a little bit different than everybody else. He's not your normal cat. This is our little crippled cat. He has a very severe form of arthritis that he's had since he was a kitten. So he basically he's 2 years old now, and he has the skeleton of an 80-year-old.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. And so he takes a lot of drugs. But
What's his name?
His name is Rumple.
Rumple?
Rumple, short for Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, very cute.
Oh, look at how cute he is.
Yeah.
And he is a sweet, sweet, darling cat. And when we took him in, we rescued him, and didn't know when we rescued him how much medication would be involved in keeping him around. We thought he'd live for a year maximum because his condition is so bad. But I basically set up an international drug cartel to deal with his medication because his needs are just out there.
Wow.
Fortunately, we've now been able to get his medications locally, which is so much easier than doing the whole international shipping thing, getting drugs past customs. He's over 2 years old now, and he's lived twice as long as we thought he would, and there's no sign yet that we have to make that awful decision. But the amazing thing is that actually a year ago now, it was this time last year, we were a couple of weeks away from that choice. He was in terrible shape. He didn't move. Basically, he curled up on a heating pad all day.
Oh.
And we thought, this is not quality of life. It is time to do this. But and by the time we tried so many drugs with some bad reactions that Maria, my wife, said, I don't want to experiment on him anymore. I don't want to be trying any more on him because it's terrible for him. And I initially agreed, and then I did some research, and I said, I want to try one more thing. And so we did, and we tried a triple threat, three different drugs to target 3 different parts of the pain pathway, and it freaking worked. I mean, it was like overnight. He turned from this kitten on the heating pad all day to an animal that walked freely around the house and actually played. It was like a miracle, and he's been that way ever since. It's been a year now, so we think of this year as being a total gift that we didn't think we'd have, and here he still is. Now he's asking to go back outside again. Excuse me.
That's awesome. That's really a great story.
Yeah, he's really a sweet cat, and I think part of that is his personality, and part of it is just because he's lived such a difficult life. But he's so patient and so sweet and so loving, and we actually have our people who enjoy caring for him when we're gone because he's so easy to give pills to. They just think he's adorable. But I am now the queen of giving pills to cats because I have given literally thousands of pills to this cat.
Wow, you should put that on your resume.
Right? And cat pill instructor.
I do have another question. Okay, so what pets do the Alsatians have? I don't remember reading any about any pets.
There aren't that many pets in Alsace that I have done so far. I may change that in the future, but we do have a reference to the hall cat, HOL-CAT.
Yeah.
So, that's the danger of petting a hall cat. When she gets her nose under your hand, you pet the whole cat. So we know they have the equivalent of house cats. So beyond that, I'm not sure.
All right, well, you need to think about that. All right, I'm checking all of my venues for comments real quick, comments and questions. EJ Runyon couldn't remember her password. Couldn't remember how to get onto Google Plus, but she says she's enjoying listening. Let's see. I don't think we got anything. Let me just check every place one more time. I know. I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, if I'm missing anybody, just go ahead and leave your questions and comments on the website. Fletcher will go over and engage with you if you like.
Sure. Happy to do that.
And she said as long as Andy buys her lots of gin, she will communicate with people as long as the gin lasts.
Exactly. Keep me supplied, and I'm happy and pliable.
You're going to be really happy in D.C., sister.
Good. I look forward to it.
Me too. And for those listening, it's GCLS, Washington, D.C., 2016.
That's right. I plan to be there.
Yep.
Oh, hold on.
Start saving your money.
Oh, hold on. How is the name of that ship pronounced again?
Okay, review. There are 2 ways to pronounce it, depending on where you're from. So you can either say Caphenon, which would be the European method, or Caphenon, which would be the American method. And it's perfectly okay to do it either way. Sherry is shaking her head no. She says Caphenon is the only way to pronounce it.
It's the only way to say it. Okay, well, I guess I think we pretty much covered it all. Make sure you get over to the website and.
Well, you know, we could do.
Oh yes, let's do.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
But I want to go before you do.
What? You always go before I do.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, ready? Who would you fuck?
Oh.
Of the characters in Fletcher's book, who you want a little overnight tryst with. That's where we're going with this. And I had to bring it up. Okay, so, all right, Jerry, go ahead, go first. Because I know you want to. Go ahead.
I probably would have picked somebody else had Fletcher not shared a photo of who she imagined Lancer Tall to be. Once I saw that, I was sold, and that was it. And that's, you know, she became my fantasy girl right there. But she's got to be wearing that leather, that like burgundy leather outfit also. So I pick Lancer.
All right.
That's it.
Fletcher.
Okay, so well. If we're talking about no strings attached,
yes.
Totally fun sex, then
one night free pass.
Totally free pass, then I'd have to say Lieutenant Candini because I think she would be a riot in bed.
That is who I was gonna pick until you posted that picture, Candini.
If we're talking about a threesome, then I would also pick Lieutenant Candini because we know she's got the experience.
You know what? Don't get greedy. Just saying.
But if we're talking about sex where we're going to have major passion and a deep connection, even if it's only for one night, then it would be Lance Vital because that woman has got passion tamped down and fairly under control. She's got passion to give.
She does, and I just have to say I think she's making the wrong choice, and I'm just saying I think that's the wrong choice. But you know, we each have our own little doodahs, and that's fine. I didn't care for that. Yeah.
Barry, just stay tuned for the next book.
Okay. I made my prediction right, you know, early on, and I was completely wrong, and it never even happened. And you know, can I be hopeful for those two? Do you remember who I picked?
Well, I do remember, and no, I'm sorry, you can't be hopeful for that. But I think you'll like who she ends up with.
I better, because because if it's not going to be me, it better be somebody good.
It's somebody eminently worthy of her, and it's more than just a one-night stand.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you haven't spoken yet.
All right, so I wanted to thank you very much, Fletcher, for coming on. We're really
No. You haven't told us the choice.
Oh, it's a trifecta. No, yeah. it's a trifecta. It's all right. Yeah, but I'm older than all of you, so I get it first. Okay. So anyway.
Well, hold on. Wait, I got another. Whoa! I got a comment. Okay, Cheryl Hansen. She says, I'm sorry I missed this, sad face. I just got back from the opera, which Andy, I'm sure, would have just passed right over as boring and got right to the back to the action.
Come on now.
She says, I'll have to catch up later this afternoon. And that is not true because Andy does enjoy opera very much.
I know. It's crazy.
It is, because you totally passed over the only scene in the book with, opera type stuff. So.
I know. No. Okay. So, yeah, before the trifecta, I appreciate you coming on, Fletcher. Thank you very much. And we hope to have you back. We miss you. Okay.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. God damn it. We wish you lots of success. More books to come. Thank you. Phrasing. Sherry, thank you for being on. As always, you are wonderfully magnificent.
You're drunk. I love it. I love drunk Andy. It's been a long time since I've seen drunk Andy.
All my alcohol's gone. Damn it. Okay, so anyway, thank you all, viewers, for tuning in, and for our listeners later, thank you again. Tell your friends. We want those numbers. All right, so have fun, whatever you're doing. So long now.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.